Recording. Hiya, YouTube! If you're watching this later, we are reacting to The Dumbest Criminals on the Internet. I am going to link it on the description if you guys want to watch it for yourself. And I am good. And how are you guys?
For the title of World's Dumbest Criminal.
So this is an
Dumbest
attempted
Criminals.
robbery here by the Hamburglar. He's doing us the favor of showing us his face before putting his mother's pantyhose over it.
The police got here. All I could hear was cries from inside. Let me out, let me out.
Oh, bro, what the fuck? I remember a guy that covered his face with lemon thinking it would make him invisible. At that point, what the heck are you doing?
This didn't take a detective to solve. It took a clerk at Hungry Howie's to solve it. Life's tough. Life's a lot tougher if you're stupid.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
criminals are masterminds. This video proves it. Dumb criminal steals Dolphins jersey and wears it to trial.
All right, you're charged with stealing a Dolphin jersey?
The internet roasted and comments said,
Sweet. Oh my god, I said the same thing as the fucking comment. Bro pulls up wearing the evidence. I was just gonna say that, and then I read the comment, it says the fucking same thing. God, I can predict. I can predict. I'm
imagine being his attorney and he pulls up wearing the evidence. That was dumb. But other criminals take stupidity to a whole new level. Today, we'll explore the world's dumbest criminals. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sasacrificing quality. And to
Oh,
do
I
that,
see.
we gotta keep growing. So 68% of you guys aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you did.
I think,
promise.
am I subscribed?
I will give you more
Yeah, you're
fire
subscribed.
content. I'm Visual Venture and you are awesome. Derek Kosh. In 2008, Derek Kosh walked into a small convenience store, but he wasn't there to buy snacks. He had a plan. The place was quiet, no witnesses, no cops. Derek waited until the coast was clear. Then he pulled out a pew-pew and pointed it at the clerk. Derek had two demands. He wanted cash and cigarettes, and he was ready to shoot if he didn't get them. The clerk didn't argue. She stuffed the bag with everything he asked for. Derek was feeling powerful, cocky. He yelled, "Damn straight." The clerk turned around to grab the cigarettes. Suddenly, she heard a loud bang. For a second, she thought she was hit, but she wasn't. That's when she turned around to face the robber. But he was no longer standing tall. He was hunched over, groaning. His hands were around his legs. Then she understood what happened. The robber Derek accidentally shot himself in his private part.
Bro was like, I'm a robber. No, shoot you. It's fucking like, yep. The universe was like, yep, nope, you're gonna fail.
What happened was he tried to tuck
And yes, Cell, I do like.
the weapon into his pants, but he forgot to turn the safety on and accidentally pull the trigger. And then, bang. The whole thing was captured on the store's surveillance camera. But even after that mistake, Derek didn't give up. He grabbed the bag
Oh
and
man, that
ran
must have hurt like
down the
hell.
street, leaving a
That
red
must have-
trail behind him.
that must have
The
hurt
clerk
so
called the cops.
much.
They showed up, and it wasn't hard to track down the robber. They just followed the red trail. They found Derek at his grandma's house. He needed urgent medical attention. Cops rushed him to the emergency room. Doctors saved his life, but they couldn't save him from what came next. He was going to jail. Derek was charged with armed robbery, criminal recklessness, and battery. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. When he got out, reporters were waiting. They wanted to interview the robber who blew his jewels off. There were so many headlines about it. In an interview, Derek said it was shameful and embarrassing. And I think anyone with a
yeah.
good heart would feel that way about it. Today,
mean,
Derek
yeah.
is remembered as one of the dumbest criminals ever. This next case is about a guy who talked himself into handcuffs. Peter Gamblin. When Peter Gamblin
Wait.
was 16,
Wait,
he
wait,
won-
wait, wait, wait. He basically like arrested himself. Is this what I'm getting at? The bloodline ends with him for real. Yeah, it does end with him for real.
a national pool tournament. But by 24, he was in the news for something else, being incredibly stupid. It started when Peter decided to rob someone. His victim was just walking down the street talking on the phone. Peter jumped the man, stealing his wallet and phone.
Oh my.
But Peter didn't realize someone was still listening. The victim was on a call when the attack happened. The person on the other end, Joe Dale.
Joe
heard
Dale?
everything. He even
That's-
heard someone say, "Give me
Oh
money,"
my.
before the phone went dead. Joe was worried about his friend, so he called back. Here's the crazy part. The phone was now with the robber, Peter, and the stolen phone started ringing, but instead of ignoring it, Peter answered. That's right, he answered the mobile phone he had just stolen. Joe realized he was talking
Oh,
to the guy who robbed his
shit.
friend. The two started arguing. Voices were raised, insults were thrown, and Peter, the
You
robber,
never-
got
why-
so mad he challenged
Like,
Joe
don't
to a
calls
fight.
get
Then he
recorded?
made it even worse.
Don't calls get recorded?
He gave Joe his nickname and home address. His exact words were, "My name is Gambo. If you want to make something of it, come to this address." Of course, Joe didn't go. He just forwarded the information to the cops. By the time Peter got home, the police were all
Bro was like, you wanna fight? You wanna fight? You wanna throw hands? You just said fucking address. You just like fucking address. Of course the police gonna show up, you dumbass.
already there. They arrested him on the spot. In court, Peter tried to lie. He claimed he was at his sister's house during the robbery, but the jury didn't believe him. It took them 25 minutes to find him guilty. Peter was sent to jail for 3.5 years. He also
Oh
became
my.
famous for his stupidity. He was a guy who answered a stolen phone and gave his name and address. While Peter tried to practically steal someone's identity by taking their phone, stuff like this happens to us way more frequently online. Identity theft and stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from you are way more common than
Oh, is this
people
an ad?
think. So this actually happened to me. Some people found my information online and used it in a way that almost ruined my life. After that, I tried removing my data from all of those shady websites, but there were just too many. A big reason is because data brokers sell your personal information to whoever wants it. You can go to any data broker website right now and buy
Oh,
anyone's
no.
personal data, which to me
That's
should
horrifying.
be illegal. But
You
unfortunately,
feel
this is
yeah.
all done legally without your knowledge or consent. But legally, the data brokers also have to comply with your request to remove your information. They
Oh.
just make it extremely difficult. So that's where today's sponsor, Aura, makes a
I
difference.
see.
Aura
Sponsor.
scans data broker
Well-
websites to find out where your info is being sold. Within a few weeks, you'll notice less spam, and more importantly, people won't be able to search you up online. Aura also
I haven't gotten
monitors the
spam in
dark web and
years.
tells you if your data ends up there. And if someone tries to open up a bank account in your name, they'll tell you right away. And in the worst case scenario, they give you a manager, which
skip.
would help you guys stay to try
There you go.
14 days for free. That would be enough time for Aura to find out if your private data is leaked. Ruben Pavon.
Mm.
In 2013, a store called Finders Keepers noticed something disturbing. Items from the store were going missing.
Finders Keepers.
didn't sell brand new stuff. Everything they had was donated by the community. And when they sold stuff, they donated the money to charities for children and US troops. So when
I
things
see.
started disappearing, it wasn't just stealing. It was stealing from people trying to do good. The thief was stealing
Oh.
donated items sitting outside on the porch.
Oh,
Luckily, the
no.
store had security cameras, so they checked the footage. And the thief was right there. Was a man named Ruben Pavon. One clip showed him casually walking up to the porch and grabbing a DVD player. In another clip, he came back. This time he brought his son. Together, they took off with a barbecue grill. They gave the footage
Oh,
to the cops.
no,
Ruben was
it's
arrested.
so
It was
silly.
an open
Wait,
and
did he-
shut case. But when Ruben started
wait,
talking, the
wait.
case went from criminal to ridiculous. Ruben blamed the store for confusing him.
Ruben Pavon said he saw the name of Finders Keepers in Derry and presumed that the merchandise was anybody's to take away.
He took the name Finders Keepers literally. He figured they probably just put stuff out there for people to take, and he would have kept taking stuff if the cops didn't arrest him. But the owners of Finders
mean-
Keepers didn't buy his excuse,
I mean,
especially because of how Ruben took the stuff.
I've never seen him in the store. He didn't appear to try to open the door to see if we were open, if anybody was there, if anybody was even there to help him load it, because the lights were off. So I assumed he knew that
I
nobody was there.
They even posted about it on Facebook. This man who
I mean,
was
he's
caught on
silly.
the video is saying it is all a misunderstanding. He thought everything at our store was free. Is that really the best defense he could come up with? The case went viral online, and Ruben must have felt the pressure
I mean,
because
it's
he
silly.
went on TV to prove he was not a bad person.
I just grabbed one. I thought it was there for the taking because the sign did say Finders Keepers.
He even explained why he didn't hide his face.
He even saw the camera that captured his image we showed you earlier this week.
In the end, Ruben gave everything back. That helped him avoid jail time. But it didn't save him from public
my.
shame. He became the guy who
I
robbed
mean-
a charity store because of its name. This next case is about a person who was caught holding the evidence.
Oh my,
Mark Smith.
so silly, so silly.
Most thieves break in, steal what
What
they
a
can, and get out
nyo-nyo.
fast. But when Mark Smith broke in, he passed out under a bed. It
Wait, he
happened in
passed out
Whitley
under a
Bay,
bed?
England.
He just
woman
slept
was
under
at
a
home
bed?
when Mark quietly slipped inside. He had a steel bar on him just in case things got ugly.
I
Luckily,
mean,
she
at least he
didn't
didn't go
see
to
or
jail,
hear
yeah.
him. Mark headed straight to her bedroom. He found a jewelry box and grabbed some gold earrings. But something was wrong. His eyes were heavy, his body was shutting down, and it was all his fault. Turns out, Mark took a mix of substances earlier that morning. It was now kicking in. He could barely stand. He needed to lie down. But instead of leaving, Mark did something no thief has ever done. He crawled under the bed and took a nap. He took a nap in the house he was robbing, all while the homeowner was still in the house. A few
Be like, oh yeah, I'm just robbing this lady. Let me just sleep in her house. That seems like a so smart idea. He's literally the monster under your bed. He's literally the monster under your bed, guys. You know the feeling that someone's gonna grab your feet in the middle of the night? That's this guy.
minutes later, she walked into her bedroom and froze. There were legs sticking out from under the bed. First, she screamed, but the burglar didn't move. Then she shook him and yelled. Still no response. That's when she called the cops. But even the police couldn't wake him up. Mark was completely knocked out. They had to drag him out by the legs. And he was still clutching a stolen pair of gold earrings. Mark Smith was arrested and taken to court. Turns out he already had a record of robbery, theft, and drunkenness. But this was his first time breaking into someone's home. The judge gave him 18 months in jail. And Mark left with an important lesson. If you're
I
gonna
thought
be
the person who was gonna grab your feet was Yetsu. I am gonna grab your feet, but not from under your bed. Under your bed is too dusty for me. I'll just grab your feet the normal way. I'll be like a normal individual. I'll just grab your feet.
criminal, at least stay awake. This next guy started his life of crime very young. The German bank robber.
I don't know,
Being dumb
Sel.
is one thing, but being dumb and cocky is a recipe for disaster. A
Dumb
teenager
and
in
cocky.
Germany learned that lesson the hard way. In
What'd he do?
2010, a 19-year-old robbed a small bank. He threatened
What'd
the
he do?
staff, grabbed the cash, and escaped. He made it home without getting caught. Then he waited. The robbery was on the news. Police were on the case. He expected the cops to kick down his door any minute, but nothing happened. The minutes turned to hours. Hours turned to days. Days turned into a week. And still, the police had no suspects. That's when his ego exploded. He thought he was a criminal genius. He pulled off the perfect heist at 19. But instead of enjoying his freedom, he wanted to brag
He's
about
so
it. A week
fucking
after the robbery, he
dumbass.
couldn't help himself. He sent
Ah.
emails. One to the police, two to local newspapers. In the emails, he mocked the police for getting his age, height, and accent wrong. Then he pointed out that he escaped in a car, not on foot. He was playing games with the cops, like a criminal genius.
Oh my
But the
God,
moment he
he's
sent
so
those emails, he
stupid.
proved how dumb he was. Because it's easy to find out who owns an email address. The cops traced the email
If you're gonna do that, do it in the public library and create a fake email. Maybe. I don't know.
back to him in no time. They knew his
Pause. What cocky? The guy decided to like go to and send his own email. I'm proving that he's a genius mastermind robber.
name
Oh,
and where he
boy.
lived. He basically turned himself in. Days later, police arrested him in a gambling hall in Hamburg. When they put the cuffs on him, he was completely shocked. But the truth was simple. He wasn't caught because the cops were smart. He was caught because he was dumb. This next criminal was
yeah.
a gangster in every sense of the word. Anthony Garcia. Most people hide their crimes, but Anthony Garcia put his on display. He tattooed his crime on his chest. The crime happened in 2004. Someone took the life of John Juarez outside a liquor store. No one saw who did it, and the cops had no leads. Years passed and it became a cold case. For 4 years, nothing happened. Then, one dumb mistake revealed the culprit. In 2008, police stopped a man driving with a suspended license. His name was Anthony Garcia. It seemed like a simple traffic case, but two things made the officers take a second look. First, Garcia was linked to a gang called Rivera 13. Second, he had a massive tattoo. It stretched from his neck to his chest and from arm to arm. The cops had a rule. Whenever they arrested
He's so silly. No.
arrested a gang member, they took pictures of their tattoos. So when they arrested Garcia, they snapped a photo. The tattoo photo went straight into the system. Weeks later, it landed on the desk of a detective, someone who worked for the Juarez case years earlier.
An investigator by the name of Kevin Lloyd was just flipping through pictures of gang members and, you know, just taking a look at their tattoos.
He's so
When he saw Garcia's tattoo, his jaw dropped.
And then he looked at this gentleman's tattoo and realized, oh my God, this is the crime scene from that liquor store slaying.
The tattoo was like a snapshot of the crime scene.
So each key detail was right there. The Christmas lights that lined the roof of the liquor store, the direction his body fell, the borrowed street lamp across the way.
It even matched the trajectory of the bullets. It was so accurate that the detective called it a crime scene sketch and a confession. But the tattoo wasn't enough for a conviction. They needed a confession. So the cops came up with a plan. At that point, Garcia was still in jail just for the traffic stop. So they sent an undercover officer into his cell.
Pretending as if he was also a criminal. And he's like, hey, dude, I like that tattoo. What's that about?
And just like they hoped, Garcia started talking.
And he's wired, right? He's recording everything. And Anthony Garcia admits everything.
He bragged about the shooting. He explained the tattoo. He gave details only the culprit would know. All of it was recorded. In October 2008, Garcia was officially charged with the murder. He thought the tattoo made him look tough. Instead, he tattooed his confession on his chest.
I was ready to declare him the world's dumbest guy for putting the crime scene on his chest. So, like, he literally can't escape. They're like, but it's right there.
Some criminals leave fingerprints on a crime scene, but this next crook left his entire identity. Kenneth Morgan. Kenneth Morgan was described as Britain's dumbest burglar. What did he do?
What did he do?
What did he do? What did he do? What did he do? What did he do?
I need to know. I need to know. I need to know.
He'd been in and out of jail multiple.
What do you guys think he did? I'm gonna bet he did. He just went in without like a mask or something. Just walked in.
By 2011, he was out of jail again, and just 3 weeks later, he was already planning another break-in. His plan was simple: sneak into a house when no one was home and grab what he could. But things didn't go as planned. Once the coast was clear, Morgan broke into the house. As he was grabbing stuff, he heard the front door open. The homeowners
left his ID or passport, baby.
He ran to the kitchen and jumped out of the window. But in his rush, Morgan forgot something that would make him one of the dumbest criminals.
Wait, his backpack?
The homeowners walked in. It was clear someone broke in, and the thief left their backpack behind. Inside the backpack was a phone, an ID card, a birth certificate, and even a passport. Every single item had the same name: Kenneth Morgan, and the passport had his face printed right on it. The police couldn't believe their luck. They reportedly giggled like schoolgirls when they saw the evidence. When the cops knocked on Morgan's door, he had a story ready. He claimed someone stole the bag and planted it at the crime scene. He was being framed, but no one believed him. Not the police, and definitely not the jury, especially after they found out that he had 23 burglary convictions dating back 25 years. Kenneth Morgan was sentenced to 6 years in prison. This next case involves two dumb friends who broke the law together. Jonathan Ochola. Some criminals mess up during the crime. Jonathan Ochola messed up even before it started. In 2011, Jonathan and his friend Rashad planned a robbery. Their target was Ladbrokes, a betting shop in Portsmouth, England. Jonathan was the getaway driver. He waited in the car while Rashad went inside to do the job. Rashad stormed in, waved a fake pew-pew, and got away with 500 pounds, which is about $650. Then he dashed back to the car and they sped off. It looked like a clean job. Rashad even wore a mask to hide his face, but that mask ruined everything. Right after the robbery, Rashad ripped off the mask and tossed it away, but he left it near the crime scene, and it was covered with his DNA. Police found the mask and ran a DNA test, and just like that,
why'd he do that?
Rashad was arrested, and he confessed everything. He even gave up his accomplice, Jonathan Ochola. Leaving a mask covered in your DNA is dumb, but somehow Jonathan did something even dumber. When police questioned Jonathan, he denied everything. He said he was at home watching TV during the crime, and there was no DNA linking him to it. It seemed he might walk free. Then the cops searched his house, and that's when they found Jonathan's diary. But something inside the diary made Jonathan Ochola the world's dumbest criminal. Inside, on the day of the robbery, he had written, "Go Portsmouth." robbery happens. He wrote down the time and place of the crime like a to-do list. It was basically a confession. When police showed him the note, Jonathan panicked. He changed his story. He admitted going to the shop with Rashad, but swore he didn't know about the robbery. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The judge didn't believe him. Jonathan was jailed
I mean,
for
he
3
wrote
years, Rashad for 2.5.
robbery
And
happens.
as a bonus, Jonathan became internet famous. He was the criminal foolish enough
He wrote robbery happens on his fucking diary.
to write about his crime in his diary. This next crime involves someone trying to steal over $1 million.
I studied criminology. I wanted to become a detective. I don't know shit about crimes.
Hugo Sanchez. Hugo Sanchez lived in England with his wife and 4 kids, but things were falling apart. By 2005, the couple was drowning in debt, so they came up with
I studied it by myself. I grabbed it. I would go. The same way I study psychology. I would find college books, college level books when I was younger, and I would bring them home. That, or I find a copy of them on the internet, because you can find those. And then I would start studying that. And then I would go to, like, real crimes that happen and try to puzzle it out myself. And then sometimes I'll get it right, sometimes I would get it wrong, and that's basically it.
crazy idea. Hugo would fake his own death. If they pulled it off, they could collect a massive life insurance payout. It was over $1 million,
he's gonna fake his own-
so they did it. Hugo and his wife took a vacation to Ecuador. Then Hugo's wife returned to the UK alone. She told everyone Hugo passed away from a heart attack and his body was cremated. She even had a fake death certificate to prove it. The documents were real enough to fool everyone, at least for a while. The insurance companies started paying out. With the money, Hugo and his wife moved to Australia with their kids. But insurance companies
You're
don't
so
just hand over
stupid.
millions without checking. They hired a private investigator to verify. The investigator spoke to Hugo's friends and family, and some let it slip that Hugo was still alive. So investigators took
dumbass.
another look at the death certificate, and that's when they found something insane. Hugo's fingerprints were on his death certificate, like he printed it himself or his certificate was handed to him. Now they knew he was alive. But Hugo and his wife no
It's so
longer lived in the UK.
stupid.
The cops had to wait. Finally, they had their chance. Hugo's wife flew back to England for her sister's wedding. As soon as she landed, she was arrested. She was jailed for 2 years. Hugo was still hiding in Australia, but not for long. He was arrested the next year and sent back to the UK. He got 5 years. They faked the death, lied to everyone, then moved across the world. But it all fell apart because Hugo couldn't keep his fingerprints.
I
on
like
his
the
death
sign saying
certificate.
discipline in the
Today,
background.
Hugo is featured on a list of top 10 dumb crooks. If you guys need money, trust me, do it the right way. Because in the end, you won't just have money. You'll have your sanity too. Visual
Yes.
Venture.
Visual Venture! Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. That was nice. I enjoyed. Yes, out.